Monster movies have been a staple of cinema for nearly a century, but in the last decade they made a massive resurgence, thanks in large part to Legendary Pictures' Monsterverse, which kicked off with 2014's Godzilla. I am a sucker for these kinds of films. Giant monsters, oversized spiders, robots, dinosaurs. If it's loud, destructive, and towering over buildings, I am here for it. There's just something about the campy, over-the-top nature of these movies that hit me right in the childhood. Maybe that's why Power Rangers grabbed me so early, or why Jurassic Park became and still is my favorite film of all time. Monster films, or creature features, have always held a special place in my heart. That's why I love when video games step in and let us experience those kinds of worlds firsthand. Whether you're fighting for your life against a towering beast or stepping into the monstrous shoes yourself, games give us something that movies can't: control, immersion, and perspective. And for a fan of this genre, that's something I will always be grateful for. In 2005, Peter Jackson set out to retell the classic story of the monstrous ape, King Kong. The result was a 3-hour epic starring Jack Black, Naomi Watts, and Adrien Brody. The film takes us to the mysterious and deadly Skull Island, where a hopeful movie crew's ambitions quickly turn into a walking nightmare. When the damsel in distress, Ann Darrow, is taken by a towering beast worshipped by the island's natives, whom they refer to as Kong, the crew begins a desperate rescue mission across a land filled with prehistoric horrors. Their goal: save the girl and survive just long enough to make it home. I absolutely love this movie. It gives me everything that I'm into: monsters, dinosaurs, and giant bugs, all mashed into one wild adventure. Granted, I freaking hate bugs. They terrify the ever-living hell out of me. In movies, awesome. Creepy, but awesome. Video games, absolutely horrifying. In real life, living nightmare. But whatever. King Kong for me was always such a great time to go back and watch. It was one of the movies that I always went back to as a kid when I ran out of Jurassic Park movies to watch. I'd watch all three and then move on to King Kong. Around this time, movie tie-in video games were everywhere, and honestly, they were a pretty smart marketing move. Studios would drop them right alongside the film to cash in on the hype, and for kids like me, it worked. King Kong hit theaters on December 5th, 2005, but the game, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, wow, actually dropped a few weeks earlier on November 17th. It launched on just about everything: PlayStation 2, the Nintendo GameCube, Xbox, the Xbox 360, PC, the Nintendo DS, and then eventually made its way onto the PSP in December. King Kong was developed by Ubisoft, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, a French studio best known for games in the Rayman series and the cult classic Beyond Good and Evil. This wasn't their usual genre, but they were set to make their mark on the world of movie tie-in video games. Game director Michel Ancel worked closely with Peter Jackson to align the game's tone and scope with the film. After a shared vision was nailed down, Jackson gave Ancel and his team the green light to bring King Kong to life as an interactive experience. And what they came up with wasn't just a rehash of movie scenes. It was something cinematic in its own right. Ubisoft was given full access to the movie's assets, environments, creature designs, etc. All of it. Peter Jackson wanted the game to feel like a direct extension of the film. He didn't want players to just watch King Kong, he wanted them to live it. That dedication went all the way down to the cast. The main actors: Jack Black, Naomi Watts, Adrien Brody, Evan Park, Jamie Bell, Colin Hanks, Thomas Kretschmann, and even Andy Serkis all returned to voice their characters in the game. That kind of continuity is rare. I mean, not even Star Wars did that with their movie tie-in, but they did it for King Kong. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, since this is a video game adaptation, there were obviously some liberties taken to make the story work as a cohesive playthrough. For example, in the movie, Jack wasn't there to witness Ann getting taken by Kong, but in the game, he's front and center. And Bruce Baxter? He doesn't even show up. Not a cameo, not a name drop, nothing. But the thing that hit me the hardest? They kill off Preston. They kill off Preston! He survives in the movie, but in the game, he's just randomly killed off screen. No build-up, no moment, just gone. I was genuinely upset by that because I loved his character in the film. he certainly deserved better. Since this was a video game based on a movie, Ubisoft really pushed to give it a cinematic presentation, and one of the ways they did it was by letting you play the game in a widescreen format. This might not sound like a big deal now, but back in 2005, that was pretty rare. Most games stuck with that standard full screen 4x3 layout, but King Kong added those black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen, giving it that letterboxed movie-like look. It sounds small, but it did a lot to sell the feeling that you were living through a cinematic experience, not just playing a typical video game. These days, a lot of big AAA single-player games really blur the line between gaming and cinema. You're not just playing a game, you're living through an interactive film. Between heavily scripted sequences and cleverly disguised events, modern games often give you that illusion of randomness, like something that just happened out of nowhere, but more often than not, it was planned all along, baked into the moments to make it feel reactive and alive. King Kong, however, has a crap ton of moments that feel genuinely unique with each playthrough. Sure, there are scripted events that are meant to happen, it's still a linear game at the end of the day, but how those moments unfold can vary depending on how you approach them. It doesn't always play out the same way twice. It adds that layer of unpredictability that you don't expect from a licensed game. I'll get more into that later in the video. This experience also strips away the traditional heads-up display. No ammo counter, no health bar, no mini-map, nothing. Instead, you're completely dependent on Jack yelling out how much ammo he has left. And even then, it's vague, and you're left guessing if that's going to be enough for whatever's coming next. It might sound frustrating, but honestly, it really works here. It pulls you deeper for the moment and makes that world feel more real. You're not managing meters, you're surviving. And that atmosphere hits harder because of it. Graphically, for a game released in 2005 on the PlayStation 2, King Kong looks fantastic, and the devs weren't shy about it either. They weren't trying to hide anything in the shadows. They wanted you to get up close and personal with the world that they built. It's like a game saying, yeah, we put passion into this. Go ahead and take a look for yourself. Now granted, there are definitely a few dated elements here and there. You'll see rain clipping through objects, and sometimes Kong's face can look a little goofy depending on the angle. But honestly, that's very minor. The environments, lighting, and creature design still holds up surprisingly well, and I can't get enough of it. Speaking of creature design, there are a lot of enemies in this game that never showed up in the movies. One creature in particular that still haunts my dreams to this day, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Every time I see it, I scream like a little girl. I am talking about those goddamn millipedes, or according to the Kong Wiki, the megapedes. Out of all the creatures in the game, these things freak me out the most. It's the way they move, the way they skitter across the ground with a million legs. It just sends a shiver straight down my spine every single time. Of course, the other big stars of the game are the dinosaurs. At one point, this game just straight up turns into Turok, and I'm totally here for it. You got the Venanosauruses, the raptor-like predators that you'll run into the most. These things are fast, aggressive, and love to overwhelm you in groups. Then there's an entire level where you're trying to sneak your way around a herd of massive brontosauruses, dodging between their legs while avoiding everything else trying to kill you. And finally, there's the big one, the Vizotosaurus Rex, or better known as the V-Rex. These monsters are the closest thing to a boss encounter in the game, and every time one shows up, it's pure chaos. As a kid, and even now as an adult, there's just something incredibly fun about blasting away at dinosaurs in a game like this. It never gets old. Now, this game gives you two different ways to experience the story, a first-person survival shooter and a third-person beat-em-up. The FPS side is from the perspective of Jack Driscoll, voiced by Adrian Brody, and it's all about staying alive with very limited resources. Guns and ammo are scarce, so you'll need to be really careful about when you decide to shoot. Most of the time, you'll rely on melee weapons you find in your environment, like spears left behind by the natives or bones scattered around bone piles. From what I've gathered, spears deal way more damage than bones, but bones have one big advantage. If you're near a bone pile, you essentially have infinite ammo, so whenever possible, use bones first to save your bullets for when it really matters. And bones and spears aren't just for smacking things around. You can chuck them at flying enemies like bats, stop megapedes in their tracks, or even use them to solve environmental problems. Set a spear on fire and you can burn down bushes to open new paths or incinerate enemies that are hiding within inside them. You can use them to capture bait and distract or lure enemies out from their hiding spots. Spears in particular are going to be your best friend in the game. They're versatile, they're everywhere, and they just might save your life more than any gun ever will. Every now and then, Engelhorn will drop weapon crates to help you out. These crates might contain a new gun or just some much needed ammo to keep you going. The arsenal in King Kong isn't huge, but it's got variety: pistols, shotguns, sniper rifles, and the classic Tommy gun. Personally, I found myself leaning on the sniper rifle the most during my playthrough. It's powerful, accurate, and great for thinning out enemies from a distance. But let's be for real, nothing beats the raw satisfaction of the shotgun. When you're low on options and a creature gets a little too confident stepping within 5 feet of you, that shotgun just shuts it down instantly. It's a lifesaver in those panic moments. All of this creates a constant sense of tension throughout the playthrough. At times, it honestly starts to feel like a full-on horror game. One detail that really gets under your skin is Jack's heavy breathing. It doesn't stop when the action dies down. Sometimes things have calmed down, but Jack's still gasping for air. It keeps you on edge. You're waiting for something to jump out again because the game won't let you relax. It's subtle, but it messes with your nerves in the best way possible. And these goddamn oversized insects, bro. I hate them so much. Fighting dinosaurs, that's fine, totally manageable. But these bugs, fuck that. That's where I draw the line. The sounds they make are genuinely horrifying, especially the megapedes. The way they crawl, the wet, skittering noise, and then they top it off with this rattlesnake-like hiss right before they strike. The game will even put you in positions sometimes where you are defenseless and can't use a weapon, and will have them in your vicinity just to screw with you and make you freak out. I cannot stand it. Now, the one saving grace when dealing with these bastards, the NPCs actually have your back, and that can make a huge difference between life and death. And this is what I'm referring to when the game has some unpredictable moments, as I was mentioning earlier. Each playthrough can sometimes vary and differentiate on how everything is interacted with each other. Haze, for example, will provide you with extra weapons when you're running low on ammo, which is a literal lifesaver in the game. Anne's no damsel either, sometimes. She'll throw spears at enemies and watch your back when things get hectic. What I really appreciate is that your allies aren't just standing around waiting to get grabbed. They are resourceful. They'll pick up weapons on their own, fend off enemies, and genuinely try to survive right alongside you. For the early mid-2000s, the AI is surprisingly competent here. The scale of certain levels in this game is really impressive. It helps make each one feel like its own unique experience. One level that stood out to me the most is the one where you have to maneuver through a massive herd of brontosaurus while gathering fire. All the while you're being hunted by raptors. It's this awesome blend of stealth, chaos, and survival. What makes it even cooler is that the brontosauruses aren't just background scenery. They can actually trample the raptors if you use their movements to your advantage. That realization alone changes how you approach the mission. But just when you think you've made it through, the V-Rex shows up and suddenly it goes from clever strategy to full-blown panic mode as you scramble to escape the area. It's one of the moments where everything clicks: the scale, the danger, the pacing, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts of the game. Now, in between the first-person survival segments, you'll get these levels where you actually take control of King Kong himself. This is where all the mindless fun kicks in. Smashing monsters, throwing dinosaurs, and rescuing Anne from whatever nightmare creature's trying to eat her this time. These sections completely change the pace of the game. You're no longer scrambling for ammo or running for your life. You are the threat. You can finally unleash all that pent-up fear and aggression from Jack's sections and just go wild. Swing heavy punches, grab raptors and slam them into walls, or yeet one of the other dinosaurs into another one like a monster wrestling match. It's chaotic, it's over the top, and it's exactly what you'd hope for when stepping into the shoes, or rather the fists, of a giant ape. The controls for Kong feel fine, pretty straightforward really, but they get the job done. What matters most is that the impact of your attacks feel powerful. Every punch lands with weight, and there's a real sense of force behind every slam or throw. One of my favorite mechanics is when you're getting overwhelmed and suddenly you can just mash the triangle button to trigger this burst of rage. It's basically an adrenaline shot for Kong. He powers up, gets you more health, starts swinging harder, and you just bulldoze anything in your way. And when it all builds up to that final moment, ripping a V-Rex jaw while Kong just lets out this primal roar. It's pure monster movie glory. You feel that intensity, and it's just a satisfying payoff after everything you've survived through as Jack. Now, I've only ever played the PlayStation 2 version of King Kong, and from what I've gathered during my research, the PlayStation 2 version is actually considered one of the better versions of the game, considering the Xbox 360 version was supposed to bring this world into HD. My only gripe with the PS2 version is the visual quality. Since the PS2 uses AV cables, trying to play on modern TVs just doesn't work that well. A lot of older games struggle with this, but King Kong in particular is rough. There are moments where I literally couldn't see anything. It's just a dark, blurry mess. And I get that, this can create even more immersion by not being able to see much, but it just made everything much more difficult than it needed to be. It's situations like this that make me wish I had a CRT television. Games back then were built with those TVs in mind, and it really shows when you're trying to bring them into the modern age. For this review, I did record a full playthrough on original hardware, but when it came time to actually get gameplay that you could see, I had to emulate it on PC. It was the only way to be able to present it in decent quality. Otherwise, you'd be stuck watching a 480p darkness mess, and that's not the experience I want to give you. Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, is a spectacular video game. I genuinely cannot praise it enough. From the tense, survival-focused gameplay as Jack to the pure power fantasy of playing as Kong and wrecking dinosaurs with your bare hands, this game gave me everything I wanted back in 2005. Not only did we get a phenomenal movie, but we got a genre-defining game alongside it. A game that dared to be cinematic, immersive, and downright intense, and it pulled it off. Even today, I think King Kong holds up incredibly well. If you're looking to revisit it, I highly recommend emulating it on a PC for the best experience. It might have its glitches here and there, but besides that, that's definitely how I'll be playing it going forward, and I can assure you, I'll be revisiting this one for years to come. If you've played King Kong, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What stood out to you? What memories does it bring back? Or if you feel like there were things that could have been done better, I would love to hear your thoughts. Guys, my name is Pedro Ordonez, also known as GameLight7. Please subscribe, comment, like, thumbs up. Do whatever you guys can to support this channel. Let me know what you would like to see me talk about in a future video, and I will see you guys next time in my next video. Peace out.